The sorcerer lived in a dusty room at the top of a very tall, gloomy tower. His table was covered with bottles and jars full of strange coloured potions, and bubbling mixtures filled the air with horrible smells. The walls of the tower were lined with huge old books. These were the sorcerer's spell books, and he would let no one else look inside them. The sorcerer had a young apprentice called Harry. He was a good but lazy boy who longed only to be able to do magic himself. The sorcerer had promised to teach him all he knew, but only when he thought Harry was ready. One day, the sorcerer had to visit a friend who was a warlock. The sorcerer had never left Harry alone in the tower before, and he did not entirely trust him. Looking very fierce, the sorcerer gave Harry his instructions. "I have a very important spell to conjure up tonight when I return, so I need the cauldron full of water from the well," he said. "When you have filled the cauldron, you can sweep the floor, and then you must light the fire." Harry was not best pleased. It would take many trips to the well to fill the cauldron, and he would have all those steps to climb each time. Perhaps the sorcerer could read his mind, for the last thing he said as he climbed out of the window was, "Touch nothing," and he flew off in a cloud of smoke. Harry watched until the sorcerer was safely far out of sight, then did precisely what he had been told not to do. He took one of the old, dusty spell books, and, for a while, it was quiet in the tower. Then Harry found what he was looking for. It was a spell to make a broomstick obey orders, and Harry didn't hesitate. He forgot the sorcerer's instructions, and that magic can be very dangerous. He took the spell book and read out the spell in a quavery voice, for, truth to tell, he was very nervous. Nothing happened. So Harry tried again, and this time his voice was stronger. The broomstick quivered and then stood up. It grabbed a bucket and jumped off down the stairs. Soon it was back, the bucket brimming of water, which it tipped into the cauldron. Harry was delighted and smiled as the broomstick set off down the stairs again. Up and down the broomstick went, and soon the cauldron was full. "Stop, stop!" shouted Harry, but the broomstick just carried on and on. Soon the floor was awash, and then the bottles and jars were floating around the room. Nothing Harry could say would stop the broomstick, and so, in desperation, he grabbed the axe that lay by the fireside and chopped the broomstick into pieces. To his horror, all the pieces of wood turned into new broomsticks, and they set off downstairs to the well, buckets appearing magically in their hands. By now, the water was nearly up to the ceiling. Wet spellbooks spun round and round the room, and Harry gave himself up for lost. Suddenly there was a hiss of steam as a cloud flew back into the tower. The sorcerer was back. In a huge voice he commanded the broomsticks to stop, and they did. Then he ordered the water back into the well, and it all rushed back down the stairs. He then turned to look at Harry, and Harry could see that the sorcerer was very angry indeed. He looked as if he might turn Harry into something terrible, but then he sat down on a soggy cushion with a squelch. "Right, I think it's time I taught you how to do magic properly," and he did. Okay, so as some of you may know, I hit 200 subs recently, and again, I really can't thank you guys enough. Your support means so much to me, and you don't even know it. I'm sure as you can see I've made a few changes, I've redrawn a few things, and I've also made an end screen, finally. And I'm not gonna lie, I am quite proud of it. I plan to continue these fairy tale and myth stories if I can, but I'm also planning on doing just a mix of things really, and if any of you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them.